Hi, I'm Erica Brooks, and today we're going to go over some of the tools in this lesson. The first tool we're going to go over is the color picker, or otherwise known as the eyedropper tool. If you head over to the left in this little box area over here with all the tools, you will see this little icon looks like an eyedropper called the color picker, and you're going to left click on it until it's selected purple. And now when you go over into the canvas area, you'll notice that your little arrow is now a eyedropper tool or color picker. And what this does, as you could see in other previous lessons, you just left click and it will select any color that you click on, no matter where it is or what it is. It will click on whatever color you want just by left clicking on the color you want. So that is pretty much all the eyedropper or color picker tool does. You just select colors by clicking on them. The next tool we're going to go over is the little rectangle. It says selection. This is actually the tool you will go to when you want to transform or change the way something looks. You're going to click on it, left clicking, and you notice when you go over here, your tool is now a plus sign. Now, if I want to select something, it's going to come out as a box, so you're going to drag it from a corner. Usually you go up to down and then to right or left. And we're going to select these 4 colors. And then you release it to select it. So now they're all selected. And as you notice, when I go over to the little dotted lines, you get this little scissor tool. And what this does is if you click, it'll select all the 4 little circles, and now you can drag them around. That little icon that appeared next to your little arrow that's next to your mouse is actually a move tool, and that tool moves everything around. As you can see, if I let go, you can see it's actually below over here, the selecting tool. And if I click on that, I can also move these around. So that's what that does. And then when you click on this, you get all these options down here. And you have this drag detection, and that changes how you pick up things, how it detects your dragging. That's pretty much all it does. And then we have the transform. You can only go to the transform option when you're clicking on this specific selection tool. And then you have scale, free deformed, and rotate. And then down here you can flip it horizontally, vertically, rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, or rotate 90 degrees clockwise. And then you have this high quality preview, so if you're doing a transformation, you can see that transformation in high quality. And then you can deselect it if you don't want to see a high quality preview. And also it has the change of perspective. When you're doing free deformed, you can change your perspective on stuff. So let's try to transform these color blotches here. As you can see, since I clicked on transform, the little box has now turned into a solid lined box with a bunch of little boxes and a plus sign in the middle. And you notice as I move around the box, my little mouse changes into an arrow, a rotating arrow. And what this means is if I left click and drag it while the mouse button's still being held, I can rotate it any direction I want to from any of these box points. And then as you can see, when I move into the middle of this box, I get the move tool and I can move it around. Now, if I go on the box points, you notice that my arrow is now a straight arrow with two arrows. It's a double-sided straight arrow. And what that means is I can left click and hold and drag these circles down or up or wherever. I can stretch them. And go up. And you can also stretch them from any of the angles. Now when you go on a corner angle, you notice that all of them get relatively big in the same way. It's probably the best part of resizing stuff. You want to usually use a corner so you resize everything at the same time. Because if you just click on a side or a down, your things get stretched. So if you want to resize something, corner is your best option. That is basically the transform option. And scale. Scale is similar to the transform option. You can just make it bigger or larger with the same tools. We have free to form, and what this does is it changes the perspective of your art, of your image. And like I was talking about earlier, the perspective you can change when you're doing this. So you can make it like really far or closer. So now they look like they're on the side of something. So that's the free to form tool. And then we have the rotate tool, which just allows you to rotate it. And that is the little transform things. And then when you're done, you click OK. But right now we're going to try to do the flip horizontally and rotate. And you click it, and it will flip your image that you're transforming according to whatever you click. And that's really it for the transformation tools. The high quality. You can't really tell the quality right now. If I unclick it, you can see there's like slight pixelation. And then you just click OK. And now I have some oval shaped circles. Well, they're not really circles anymore, they're just ovals now. But to deselect them, you're going to go to the selection option up in the toolbar menu, and you're going to hit clear, and this clears the selection. Okay, and the next tool we're going to go over is the lasso. This allows you to just hold the left button and then you just draw around whatever you want to select. And now I have selected the circles, And as you notice, just like the square selector tool, you can cut them and it will precisely cut to the circles. And that's really all the lasso tool is. When you go to select again, it will deselect whatever you had selected previously and do a new selection. So now I did not select all of the circles, and now just part of the circle got selected. This is easy if you want to get like precise. If I just want to like circle this, this is now going to be selected, and I can move it apart from the others. And then I can unselect it, and now everything is going to move together. Even my little owl I drew down there. So it's a good way to move something that's on the same layer without making a different layer out of it. Okay, and you can also just left click off to the side here, and that'll also deselect it. The next tool we're going to go over is the magic wand. It's got some options down here that tell you about detection, and this helps select it better. So whatever option you do is like it'll select depending on color difference or transparency. I pretty much have everything selected right now, so let's clear that. So, okay, let's see this. So, I've clicked on these, and now they're all selected. That's using the transparency strict one. And then the transparent fuzzy. Oop. Leaves a bit of an outline around the circles. Then we have color difference. Here. Let's get a better example of this. I'm going to do this, put two colors next to each other. Okay. See, even though these two colors are touching each other, only the brown one got selected because of the color difference I chose. Now if I were to take that off and put just transparent strict, both of them would be selected. And same for the transparent fuzzy. This actually gives you a soft outline. So if you just want to select something based on color, you don't want the other color, you can just use color difference. And I'll tell you right here, and you can also adjust that setting. So depending on how effective you want it to be, you can adjust that. Each one has that option. And you notice that I put all this all the way up, and now there's no like real fuzzy outline on the transparent fuzzy. But when I go all the way to 0, there is a little fuzzy line. Zoom in there, see? You can see the little outline better now that I'm zoomed in. And then I clear it, and then when I go all the way up, now it's got an outline on the outside versus the inside. Okay. And then next we have the targeting. We have all image, selection source, and working layer. Selection source is if you click here, there is a selection source here. We're supposed to go over that in another lesson though. But I'm just going to go over it here. And I click on that and say I'm on this layer, layer 2, which has the owl wings and eyes on it. And then I just click. Oop. And you'll notice I can't click on anything, even though I'm clicking the selection source. That just selects everything. Got working layer. Why is this? Oh, whoops. I forgot to go back on transparency strict, so let's try that again. So we got it on working layer, so if I go and I try to click here, it's because that's not on there, so I can't select it. I can't select these, so it selects everything. So if I go back, I can select the owl. If I go selection source, I can click everything still. Oop. Even though I'm not on that layer. Nope. Because this, I selected this as the selection source. So if I go on layer 3, and this is green to show you that this is the selection source, I can still click on everything and select it. And then if I go to all image, I can still click on everything as well. Because everything is together on this. So, and that is it for the selection tools. Okay. So that is it for the selection tools. Oh, I almost forgot. We also have an invert eye in the selection area. So if you have something selected, right now I have the circles and everything selected, but I don't have the background selected. Well, if I go to invert, this will select the background and deselect everything that I originally had selected. So that's under selections and then invert, or I for a shortcut. I just want to clear that. Okay, now we're going to do some of the moving tools. Right here are all the moving tools. You got the actual move tool, and then we have this little magnifying glass, which is a zoom tool, and then we have this rotating tool, and then we have this hand. And well, let's go over the hand first. So now that you've clicked on it with left click, you see that your mouse is now a hand. And what you do is you can left click and hold, and now that I'm holding, my little hand is now in a fist. Now if I let go, then my hand will be out of a fist. So if I click and hold, I can drag my image around the canvas area, or the space in the background. Drag my canvas around wherever I want. I can hold on different parts just by left clicking and holding and dragging. That's basically all the hand does, and then we have the rotating tool. And what this does is it rotates your canvas. If I left click and hold and move my mouse around, I can move my canvas and rotate it completely around. So if I am trying to draw at an angle, I can rotate my canvas so I can be drawing at an angle that's easier to draw along. So like if I'm drawing like sideways or slanted, I can rotate my image so I'm drawing straight. And the next tool we have, also for the rotating tool, if you were paying attention to this area up here, you'll notice that it changes as I'm rotating. And this is another way to rotate. And 0, 0, 0 is completely straight. And then the next option is the magnifying glass, and you can click either down here when it pops out. You can either select zoom in or zoom out. So we got zoom out right now, and you'll see there's a little minus inside the magnifying glass, and then if I click zoom in, there is a plus, and that zooms in. And that's all done by left clicking. And then we have zoom in by dragging. So if I click zoom in and then I hold, and then there's a little rectangle that shows up if I hold down, and that will zoom in on the area I have selected to zoom in on. And then I click zoom out. I can't actually do that option when I'm zooming out. And if I click the zoom out option, now that I've selected it, I can now do the zoom in or zoom out, but while zooming in. It's a little confusing. If I take off the zoom in, I will still zoom in. And then if I take off the zoom out, I will be zooming out. So, I mean, it's a little confusing that you can zoom in while you're on a zoom out, but that's how that works. You also have drag detection because you can zoom and drag. So if I click zoom in, that's basically all that does. There are easier options for zooming in that I'll go over in a later tutorial. And that is all the tools other than the moving tool. And if I click on the moving tool by left clicking, if you noticed I had moved the owl parts, and that is because I am on layer 3 and those owl parts are on layer 3. If I merge these down, I can move everything together. And if I select it and select the move tool, I can move it around separately from everything else. And that is how the move tool works. Just move everything around. If I do this, it changes how quick it picks up my drag detection, my dragging. And that is it for this lesson. See you in the next one.